Well, in the aftermath of what has happened in Centurion, the repercussions have begun. Rohit Sharma's captaincy, Rohit Sharma's form has all come under the scanner yet again. And to just think, this is the first time Rohit Sharma has captained in the Sena countries: South Africa, England, New Zealand, Australia. And this is only his second year as full-time captain, and it's only his second overseas tour. Now, the Centurion loss means that India cannot win the Test series in South Africa. And the final frontier remains unconquered for the next couple of years. We don't know when India will once again tour South Africa after the end of the 2025 cycle. Whether it will be in 2026, whether it will be in 2027, we don't know. But the criticism is coming from the fact that Rohit Sharma and the team who were here, they did not have a practice session. They did not have a practice match. They only played an intra-squad game, and that is how their test preparation happened. So, what happened was there was no warm-up game in any of the grounds that was there. After the ODI series ended on 21st of December, there was a 4-day gap. They didn't want to hold a practice or a warm-up game there. They decided to play an intra-squad game. And you saw how the Indian batting was undercooked in both the innings in Centurion. The top order capitulated meekly. In the second innings, it was an abject surrender. So that is why the Indian cricket team, the criticism is coming from the fact that why there is no practice match organized. For that, Rohit Sharma has given a justification. The justification that he is giving is that it would have not made that much of a difference for this particular reason. He stated, we don't get these kind of wickets in practice matches, the one that was there in Centurion. It's better we prepare on our own, make the pitch we want. The ball didn't bounce above the knee on those pitches. In the test, it flies above the head. He pointed out certain instances in Australia and in South Africa when last time or some years before that they had a practice match, the ball would just bounce at knee high, the pacers would not be bowling at full tilt, and in the test match when they went to some other venue, the conditions would be totally different. In the last 7 to 8 years, in this decade that we have looked at it, warm-up games are a mere formality wherein opposition teams do not give, if the India are playing a county, for example, in England, for example, they played in 2022 against Leicestershire. What was that county? It was not even up to first class standard. The pitches were also not up to first class standard. It was a flat deck, bowlers were bowling dibbly-dobblies, there wasn't intensity around. So, if I have to look at it, Rohit Sharma's this particular point, we don't get these kind of wickets in practice matches. It's true. But India is reaping what it always used to sow. When you encounter pitches in India, if it was rank turners for a practice game, they would give out a flat wicket. And the bowlers would also be rather substandard. Some would bowl well on the hope that they get an India cap. But apart from that, even India is guilty always of doctoring the conditions. They don't serve up the ideal test match conditions when it comes to India. Australia, they did a simulation in Alur prior to the preparation of the BGT, but what happened? They still lost 2-1. Warm-up games, practice games are a hype nowadays. It just depends on how the batters adjust to that particular situation. And that's why the ball didn't bounce above the knee on those pitches in the test, it flies above the head. It's perfectly true. The warm-up game conditions that you get, it never works. Pakistan are finding it out the hard way. They had a warm-up game against the Prime Minister's 11 in Canberra. The pitch was very slow. Look at what happened in Perth, faster. They had a 2-day game in Victoria. What happened? The bounce and the wicket at the MCG was totally different. So, in this point, the warm-up game factor, Rohit is absolutely right on this. A warm-up game, even if you had put 2 days prior to the test match, you would still not have done well. It is never a guarantee. India played a warm-up at Leicestershire. Did they do well in Edgbaston? No, they didn't. We have seen on the last 3-4 tours that we don't get those conditions in practice matches. Even the bowlers bowl 120 to 125, and that is the reason Rohit Sharma stated, we will like to practice on our own, so we will like to prepare the pitches that we want. But facing up to an Indian bowling and facing up to a South African bowling is totally different in a foreign condition even. Look at what has happened, this whole delusion of an intra-squad game. India had to play an intra-squad game in 2021 because of COVID. India had many COVID cases, that's why they are delayed, their trip to England was delayed. They couldn't practice, they couldn't do much. New Zealand on the other hand, they didn't have that much of COVID. They came to England, played 2 test matches against an international attack and went on to win the WTC final. Same here. India played an intra-squad game with each other. But did they face up to the quality of Kagiso Rabada, Nandre Berger and Marco Jansen? Look at the lines, look at the lengths that they bowled. Far more consistent. India's lengths and line went completely missing on day 2. Second session of day 2, first session of day 3. The line and length went completely missing. That's why even an intra-squad game is a bogus theory that the Indian management is trying to shove down everybody's throat. So that's why going ahead, it's better India adjusts on its own. Sometimes in Australia they adjust better. In South Africa they just can't seem to adjust. We won in Australia. Now the problem that every fan has raised is India can't bat well overseas because 245 and 121 you lose by an innings and 32 runs. What happens? But Rohit dispels that myth. He states, we won in Australia on the back of our batting. We drew the series in England on the basis of our batting and bowling. These performances can happen. It doesn't mean we don't know how to bat outside India. Sometimes the opposition performs better than us. But even when you have lost games in the Sena countries, it's been spectacular. You lost Adelaide when you had 36 all out. You lost Leeds in England because 76. And you lost in Edgbaston because you collapsed in 1 innings. You couldn't even win in New Zealand in this entire period because you never went past 300 in a test match in New Zealand. Now in South Africa, look at what has happened in the 3rd innings. Rohit Sharma pointed out in the press conference that the 3rd innings in South Africa has been our ultimate bogey. What's happened? 21-22, 3 consecutive test matches. The 3rd innings has let you down in a big way. Cape Town, Johannesburg, Cape Town and Centurion, all these 3 match tests, your 3rd innings has been a colossal failure. Point highlighted even here as well. So India can perform 60% to its optimum time, but in the other 40%, they implode spectacularly. So it is extreme. They know how to bat, but they sometimes don't know how to bat. That is the thing in the Sena countries. But the major flack has come on Prasidh Krishna. Prasidh Krishna came into the Centurion Test, on the back of a warm-up India A versus South Africa at the LC de Villiers Oval. Were the conditions at the LC de Villiers Oval the same as that of Centurion? No. This proves Rohit Sharma's point about the practice game. A practice game would not have made any difference. Maybe the margin of victory would have been lesser. That's the only way you look at it. If you keep thinking, oh, I have not played a lot of test matches, oh, I have not played too many first class games, it's not going to help. Somewhere down the line, he had to get a chance. But my argument was, India were persisting with the Mukesh Kumar from the West Indies series until now. On this particular deck, maybe you needed Mukesh Kumar's control. Why couldn't you have persisted with him? Maybe not played Prasidh Krishna just on a knee-jerk reaction of taking 5 wickets and a hat-trick at the LC de Villiers Oval. Avesh Khan now, after picking 5 wickets in the second India A South Africa A game, has been drafted into this India squad for the second test. The thinking of this team management is just befuddling at this point in time. And that's why they are ending 2023 in absolute chaos. Not won the WTC, not won the World Cup, not conquering the final frontier in South Africa. 2023 is a horror year for India in more ways than one. And Rohit's statement on nitpicking that, oh, you should have played a practice game, that is what we are thinking at this point. Practice games in the modern era with such a short turnaround time is not worth it. That's the bitter truth about it. Admit it. 21 to 25, you only had a 4-day period. How could you have done it? An intra-squad game is a bogus theory. It doesn't help you. Really, it doesn't. South Africa is proof. The 2021 WTC was proof. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Bye-bye.